Welcome to Keisha's Q&A session. Today we have Pavi here with us. She is a major Game of Thrones fan and she will be sharing with us a little bit about her childhood. So, hi Pavi.
Hi.
First question for you. Briefly describe your childhood for us.
Um, my childhood. I would say my childhood is confusing. That is a one word way I would describe my childhood. But it was confusing because I always moved around to my grandma's house and my aunt's house. I never only stayed at my own house. So, and knowing that both these families are not actually related to me was very confusing for me as a child because I would be like, where is my actual immediate family? But because of some family problems, we don't speak to them anymore. So since I was a child, there was always on and off with my immediate family,
Right.
which made me realize that not only your immediate family is your family. From a young age, I started realizing that family can come in like many forms, not just by blood.
Right. Second question. So, who was the most important person in your childhood and why?
The most important person would be the best friend that I used to have is because we were friends for like 10 years, all the way from primary school to the end of secondary school, which was, in my opinion, a very, very major part of my life because that's when we like kind of transitioned from like a child to almost an adult. So she matured faster than me, which was beneficial to me because I learned a lot from her. Me not speaking to my sister, my actual sister, was um, wasn't really helpful when I needed somebody to help me. So
Right.
having my best friend was really really helpful for me because she always taught me like what I should do and what I shouldn't do. She is one of the main reasons I started having the least bit of confidence when I was very young.
And what is the relationship like with the best friend now?
We actually don't talk anymore, which is really sad in my opinion because now when I look back on my childhood, all I could see is the time I spent with her. So not having someone that important in my life anymore is like it affected me a lot at one point. But now I found more friends. I'm happy, but I would be much more happier with her in my life.
Do you mind sharing with us what happened between you and your ex best friend?
Um, she got a boyfriend. I know it's very cliche, but I think when you're committed to a relationship, um, your priorities change. And for her, I may have been a priority then, but I'm not now. So like to meet up and stuff, our priorities have changed. So like we don't meet up, and that's how we slowly started distancing from each other.
Alright, so what is one experience that you regret doing? And if you had the chance to go back, how will you change it?
An experience that I regret make like regret is probably not making the decision to leave Singapore at a much earlier stage of my life because I only made the decision to leave 2 years ago, but I think if I made it earlier I would be much happier because if I were to move I would move to Canada where my aunt is, and I am much closer to my aunt than I am with my mom and my sister because she is much more relatable to me and she understands how a teenager is like, understands how we think and like why we think this way, and she's very chill. So like if something goes wrong, she won't scold you immediately, which is what my family usually does, which is not appreciative at this stage.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, do tell us more about your aunt and your family that you have in Canada and what was your relationship with her when you were a child?
Um, when I was a child, I would not see her much because she went there when she finished poly and she made a life there. But I do remember her always coming back to Singapore with these chocolates that I So whenever I go to Canada now, I will still look for the chocolate. Yeah, this is orange chocolate. It's really nice.
Well,
Yeah.
I would like to try one.
I did make the decision to leave partly because of racism that I
Right.
faced in Singapore. It is deemed as a multiracial country, this
Yes.
country, but that's not the actual truth if you live here. Because as an Indian who is the minority in this country, it's really hard because like people, especially when I was young, people would make like racist remarks right to my face, like I'm smelly and I'm like really dark and shit like that. But that's not what you say to like a very young girl, because back then I took it to heart and I was like, oh, am I actually like that? But as I grew up, I obviously like knew better. But I wish, yeah, like I feel like if I move away, it will be different. Because I've been to Canada before. People there are actually very, very nice. Like they are not like the people here with all the subtle racist remarks they just
Yeah,
throw at
of
you
course.
and they think it's a joke, but it's actually not.
Okay. Switching it up a bit, we're gonna talk about idols. So, tell us, who was your idol when you were a child and why?
My idol, I didn't have an idol when I was a child, but I did start having one when I was like 13. Yup, it is Daenerys from Game of Thrones, and she's my idol because as a 13-year-old girl watching that show and watching another 13-year-old girl like who you can see yourself in was a very major thing for me. So I went through the past 6 years of my life in her shoes. So I watched her grow, and that made me grow as a person, as like an adult, and especially as a girl in this world.
Right, okay, wow. So, next question, we're going to talk a little bit more about food and snacks. So, what was your favorite food when you were growing up?
My favorite food was biryani and chicken rice. Yes.
Why biryani? Like, there are many other Indian foods I know from your culture and your race, but why just biryani? Why not example like prata or some other kind of Indian food?
Like if you compare biryani to prata, you would see there's a major difference because prata is a very plain food. It really depends on your sides. So like if you use gravy to eat the food, it would taste better. But biryani as it is, it's already a very delicious dish. So like you don't have to add extra flavoring to it. It's already very good. And it's a unique taste compared to other rice related
Yeah.
food. So yeah.
So, where did you get this biryani from when you were a kid that you love so much?
I obviously kind of cliche, but I love my mom's biryani the best. Like no matter where I go and try, I don't think it will ever be as good as my mom's. Like I fell in love with it when I was a child, and I still love it.
Well, then you have to bring me some so I can try it.
Okay.
So, next question. What was one of your worst fears as a child and why?
My worst fears as a child would be planes. Yeah, because my mom's family is in India, so we would always go to India regularly. So maybe twice a year or every year we would definitely go. And I was on many plane rides, and I know all kinds, like almost all planes would definitely have turbulence. But this one particular plane that I was on had a lot of turbulence to the point where everybody in the plane was screaming. So like I was like fearing for my own life at the moment, which is what started my fear, which has actually lasted till now.
And do you think this fear of yours would affect your move to Canada in a big way?
Yes, it would, because I would only move to Canada in 2 years' time, which is when I finish my diploma. But I will I would want to move to Canada in between. Like I want to visit Canada in these 2 years to know the feel of the place and to know what it's like, so that so I can get familiar with it. So when I move, it's easier for me. But being afraid of planes is affecting that, because like I'm scared to get on a plane, and it's a 24-hour flight from here to
Yeah,
Canada. It's not like
right.
1 or 2 hours.
Do you think this fear would improve as time goes by, and in 2 years you would be much better?
I think I would, because when I move to Canada, I would definitely be coming back regularly to visit my mom and to visit my friends, obviously. So I think as I go on planes more often, I might be able to like slowly overcome that fear.
Right, alright. Last question for you, Pavi. What would you say to your younger self now?
I would say it might sound a bit weird, but I would honestly tell my younger self to watch Game of Thrones earlier. To everyone, Game of Thrones is just a regular show, but to me, it has shaped me to be who I am today. I've like watching Daenerys is like, she is the tapestry of my entire life. So every single major event that happens in my life, I think about her and how to get through it. So yeah, she has always saved me. She will continue saving me, and if I watched her earlier, I think that she could have